Have you ever had a near-death experience? I was working the graveyard shift at a 7-Eleven when this guy walks in at 2 a.m. Normal-looking dude, maybe early 30s, wearing a baseball cap and jeans. He grabbed a couple Red Bulls from the cooler and came to the counter. "You work here alone often?" he asked while I scanned his drinks. Something about his tone made me uncomfortable, but I just shrugged and said sometimes. He paid an exact change, counted it out really slowly, and kept looking around the store. Then he smiled at me and left. About an hour later, same guy comes back. This time he's buying a pack of gum and asks if we have security cameras in the back room. I lied and said yes, even though the only camera we have is the one pointing at the register. He nodded slowly and said good to know before walking out again. I started feeling uneasy, so I texted my girlfriend that some weird customer was giving me bad vibes. She told me to call my manager if he came back. Third time, he shows up around 4 a.m. He's not buying anything, just stands by the magazine rack for maybe 5 minutes, pretending to read, but actually staring at me in the reflection of the freezer doors. I pretended to be on an important phone call with someone, and he finally walked out. I could see his beat-up Honda Civic parked across the street under a broken streetlight. He was just sitting there watching the store. That's when I called my manager Dave. He told me to lock up early and said he'd come in to cover the rest of my shift. But as I was turning off half the lights and getting ready to flip the closed sign, I noticed the guy's car was still there. I was seriously freaked out now, so I grabbed the aluminum baseball bat we keep behind the counter for situations like this, locked myself in the tiny office, and called 911. The dispatcher was this calm older woman who took down all the details. I told her about the 3 visits and how he was still parked outside watching me. She said units were on their way and to stay on the line. Through the office window, I could see his silhouette in the driver's seat, just sitting there motionless like he was waiting for something. "Is there a back exit?" the dispatcher asked. There was, but I'd have to walk through the main store area to get to it. The office was basically a dead end. That's when I heard the front door rattle hard. He was trying to pull it open, but I'd already locked it. The rattling got more violent, and I heard him cursing outside. "Sir, stay where you are. Officers are 2 minutes away," the dispatcher said. But then I heard the sound of breaking glass. He had grabbed one of the concrete parking blocks and smashed it through the front window. Glass was everywhere, and the alarm started blaring. I could hear him climbing through, knocking over the magazine display. "He's inside," I whispered into the phone. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the bat. The dispatcher told me police were turning onto my street, but I could hear him moving around the store, throwing stuff on the floor, getting closer to the office. I knew I couldn't just sit there and wait. The office door was flimsy and wouldn't stop him. My only chance was to make a run for the back exit while he was distracted. I gripped the bat tight, took a deep breath, and opened the office door as quietly as possible. The store was a mess, chips and candy scattered everywhere from where he'd knocked over the displays. I made it about halfway to the back door when I saw him. He was standing right between me and the exit, holding a hunting knife that looked huge under the fluorescent lights. "Just stay calm," he said in this eerily quiet voice. "This will be over quick. Give me everything from the register and your phone." The police sirens were getting louder outside, and he heard them too. His whole expression changed from calm to panicked, and he started looking around frantically. "You called the cops?" he yelled, waving the knife at me. That's when I swung the bat as hard as I could. I missed, but it scared him enough that he stumbled backward and bolted toward the broken window. He cut himself climbing back through the glass and left a blood trail across the parking lot. The police caught him trying to start his car. Turns out he'd been casing the store for 3 weeks, learning my schedule and when I worked alone. Detective Martinez told me later that they found zip ties and duct tape in his trunk. He said if I hadn't called when I did and stayed alert, I definitely wouldn't have made it home that morning. The guy had done this before to other night shift workers in different cities. I quit that job the next week.